I'm looking forward to my match with Denis in 2 weeks. Yeah, forearms feeling good, shoulders feeling good, arms feeling good. The tendons are all healed up. 2 weeks out, Denis, be ready. I'm coming for you. I hope you're as in good a shape as you used to be, because you're getting every little bit of it.
Brzenk versus Denis Cyplenkov. This upcoming super match at King of the Table 6 has great historical and future significance for the arm wrestling world. More than half of the arm wrestling fan base today started following arm wrestling after 2018, which means that very few people have actually seen these two put their arms on the table live. Because Denis Cyplenkov's last super match was against Devon in 2018. And John's last match was also in 2018 in Moldova. So all we saw was highlights of them competing and never actually felt the live hype before and during the match. Fast forward to 2021, John responds to Chan Shaw and sets up a super match against him on 1st August 2021. John beats Chan Shaw 3-1. That sparked a historic comeback in the arm wrestling world, and John somehow got more motivated to arm wrestle than ever before. Match after match after match, we saw John Brzenk grow and get better once again like a newbie arm wrestler. Meanwhile, Denis Cyplenkov was also teasing comebacks after his slow but steady recovery since 2019 surgery. Finally, in 2022, Denis got cleared by the doctors to compete once again, and the rematch between these two legends of the sport was inevitable, which takes us back to the history between these two. Zloty 2008. John Brzenk blew through the 95 kg class, and so did Denis in 95 plus kg class. And it was time for these two titans to meet in the overalls. John Brzenk had never felt so nervous before any competition. In John's own words, Denis was this unbeatable monster who destroyed Andrei Pushkar and who was breaking chains and cracking walnuts with his fingers. Thanks to Neil Pickup, who motivated a nervous John and instilled in him the belief of winning. It turned out that John's iron hand was way too much for Denis, and John made the 40 kilos heavier arm wrestler look completely helpless on the table. Fast forward 1 year to 2009, Igor Mazurenko sets up a 6-round vendetta super match fight between these two legends in Las Vegas. John Brzenk the senior meets Denis Cyplenkov for the first time. He shakes his hand and is completely shocked to see the size of Denis's hand. And keep in mind, John Brzenk has one of the biggest hands in the world. Still, his father was shocked and even asked him what is he thinking about while arm wrestling Denis Cyplenkov. He's just way too massive. Denis showed up bigger and stronger than ever in that super match. The match starts and John shows once again why he is considered the greatest arm wrestler of all times. This time, it was little bit more difficult for John, but he hooks, he top rolls, and he presses Denis all in the same match. John even gave one consolidation round to Denis and won the historic super match 5-1. Till this date, John considers this super match win the biggest accomplishment of his career. In 2010, things were going exactly the same as 2008. Both John and Denis won their classes and crossed path in the overalls one more time, which turned out to be their last encounter. This time, Denis was more prepared and John was also coming from a shoulder surgery. Finally, Denis was able to pin John, and the joy from this historic win can be seen in the baby-like celebration from Denis. So finally, this rivalry is going to get settled for once and for all. King of the Table 6, 25th of February, pay-per-view link will be in the description. Both athletes have their own reasoning to show up fully prepared on the match night. For John, yes, he won the super match. Yes, he won most number of matches. But Denis is the one who won the last match. And John wouldn't want that rivalry to end on such a note. For Denis, yes, he won the last match, but super matches are what mostly count these days. And if he cannot beat the 58-year-old version of John, then it looks bad on his career. In this match, Most of the arm wrestling community are counting John Brzenk out completely. But I will give you 5 reasons why I believe John Brzenk has a legit shot of winning this super match. Reason number 1. John has said that now he is in a much better shape compared to his 2010 shape when Denis beat him. That just sounds crazy. But if you look at it carefully, John has lost almost all of his speed. He has lost his endurance. But he hasn't lost much, if any, in terms of his strength. He looks equally strong even now. He took Irakli's wrist, which is no joke. And now his shoulder is much more healthier. So he is coming in a really great shape. Point number 2 is Denis is not necessarily stronger or better than the 2000 shape when he beat John Brzenk. Denis used to be 140 kilos back then. Now he is less than 130 kilos. Smaller definitely, more experienced, but he has not competed in arm wrestling in more than 4 years. That is going to mean a lot in this match. So he will show up in a shape close to the shape that John was able to beat in 2009. Number 3, Denis has said that he will show up at about 70% of his peak shape. Now there can be 2 calculations made from this statement. Number 1 is this is 0%, this is peak Denis, and Denis is somewhere around 70%. If it is true, there is absolutely no way, no chance in this world that 70% Denis Cyplenkov can beat John Brzenk. It is just not going to happen, which is I believe there may be a second interpretation of this statement. Let's say this is 0, this is 100% peak Denis, and after his surgery in 2009, he fell to somewhere around 50%. And now he's calculating from 50 to 100, and he's saying that he has made 70% progress in that range. So 70% of 50 would be 35. So it means that technically Denis is 85% of his peak shape. In that case, the match is going to be good. But in the previous one, John wins for sure. Point number 4. John will be allowed to use everything that he has. Denis Cyplenkov's style is such that he allows his opponent to engage all of his power. Because that's why Dave Chaffee was such a hard, difficult opponent for Denis. John Brzenk is also going to do the same. Denis Cyplenkov's cupping ability is not on par with other strengths in his arm wrestling game. That is why he is susceptible to a really great top roll. And we have already seen that John can top roll almost everyone. He top rolled Irakli. I think he can do the same to Denis as well. Point number 5. John Brzenk's endurance is definitely not at the top of his game. It wasn't his strength ever, but it used to be good. Now it is not good. But we have seen if John puts you in a bad position, his endurance wouldn't really matter that much. It mattered against Irakli because Irakli was able to get behind his shoulder and then do a flop press. Otherwise, John would have won. Denis, just like Irakli prior to that match, has never done such move. And I don't think Denis can do that right now. So why even I am going with Denis Cyplenkov in this match? And this is one reason that whenever I see John going up against a King's Mover, John's endurance and my belief in John's abilities go down drastically, because I just don't see a lane right now how John can beat a really good King's move. And when John beat Denis in 2009, he didn't really have a King's move back then. Denis has a King's move right now. Without King's move, I don't think Denis can beat John even now. But with a King's move, this is definitely possible. So I still believe the match is going to be extremely close. I hope there is some way John is able to find that way where he can keep Denis away from his King's move. If that doesn't happen, John wouldn't win this match. If that happens, John has a really great shot. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this style of video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who thinks like you, subscribe to the channel. My name is Pradeep and I thank you so much for watching.